Test, test, test.
I think it's encoding because I can rewind and fast forward that video on this end.
Okay.
So it's actually, this thing's actually being transcoded. Or encoded, excuse me. I'm sorry, you said you had the other wireless mic?
Yeah, I just did a test on it.
Okay, try again.
Test, test one.
I'm not hearing you.
All right, so it's coming through through OBS, so it may be a delay with that as well.
Oh, I keep forgetting about the delay. All right, so you'll have to tell me that about 1,500 more times. I'll get it. So. Keep forgetting about that because it looks like it's all in real time. It's not.
Correct.
And the reason I know that is because I was on the phone with Alan, and then he said, "Okay, well, I'm taking off now." He's not in the shot, and then I see him talking on the phone a minute later and leaving. That was really funny.
Uh-huh.
Just unwrap that and just put it.
Hey, Clark.
Yeah, I'm here.
Go ahead and give me another mic check. Just in this case, say 6, 7, 8, 9.
Test, test. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Test.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was the first test. So that lets you know how long of a delay it is. Alright, so let's do a back camera real quick. I just heard my voice. Oh yeah, making some things happen.
Is this being recorded? I hope that.
Oh yeah, it's being recorded.
Testing. Well, good afternoon. Want to welcome everyone here to the Valdry Center and welcome you to our 2019 Million Dollar March Kickoff. Want to just make sure everyone is here in the building today and make sure that we have things ready for you guys. So we have our refreshments and our buffet in the back, so feel free to take some time and get some water, some juice, and some refreshments, and then we'll get started about 10 to 15 minutes after the hour. Thank you very much. And for our audience that's online, we're going to have refreshments, and in 15 to 30 minutes, we'll start the beginning of the program. Thank you very much. Testing. Once again, want to welcome everyone to our 2019 Million Dollar March Captains Kickoff. We would love for you guys to move up a little bit forward to the front. And for those online, we'll be getting started in the next 5 minutes here. Okay, once again, welcome, and I want to have everyone that come on up and have a seat. Love to have some people to sit here in this front row. And once again, my name is Robert Harrison. I'm the director of the Southern University System Foundation, and want to get our 2019 Million Dollar March kicked off. And so I want to say a round of applause for everyone that's here. So thank you guys for coming. I want to introduce ourselves to our audience that we have online, as we do have a lot of our captains watching online, and we will have this recorded for future viewing for individuals. But one of the things that we want to do with the kickoff here is to introduce our board members. Do we have any of our Southern University System Foundation board members? If you could please raise your hands and say hello. And all right. So as we get started for our 2019 kickoff, one of the things that we wanted to do is to make sure that we have a galvanization of our captains and our Million Dollar March here. As we start to begin our 90-day campaign, we want to make sure that we have those foundations that we have set, and we build the things that we want into the campaign to get the expectations that we really have. And over the previous years, the campaign has exponentially grown into one of the stronger campaigns of any HBCU out there. And as we continue to do that throughout the program today, you'll see a lot of those implementations, some theories and techniques, and some things that you can do as a captain to continue to move the ball progressively forward as we build our true blue campaign for our Million Dollar March into something that's a monumental and a galvanizing moment. And so at this moment, I'm going to introduce our Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Alfred Harrell III, and he's going to leave you with some words and some remarks. So, Mr. Harrell, if you could.
Thanks. All right. All right, good afternoon, everyone. Let's give Robert Harrison a round of applause for putting this training together for us. So Robert's been on our team all of maybe a month now. Good, and he's done a fabulous job for us, and we're really excited to have him as a part of the Southern University family. I'm here to kind of give you a brief history of MDM, right, and to kind of give you a charge, right, for this year's campaign. And we're going to share some really neat information with you today, but I got a surprise for you, all of you. When you leave here today, you will officially be trained as MDM captains. So give yourselves a round of applause. You thought you were going to get a t-shirt, right? Not yet. You got to raise money first, okay? So MDM started about 5.5 years ago. We got this idea from a Southern alum in Houston, Texas. He's unable to be with us today. His name is James Brown. He is now a member of the Southern University Foundation Board of Directors. And James had this wonderful idea of bringing a group of volunteers, alums, students, faculty, and staff together to raise money for our university. And we met at a coffee shop in Houston and kind of wrote this plan out on the back of a napkin and how we would do that and how we would engage folks. So our first modest goal was to raise $1 million over the course of a 90-day period and get 100 volunteer captains to come on and be trained, just like you're here to do today, to help us generate that revenue over a 90-day period. So that happened back in 2014. And that first campaign brought on right at about $1.1 million. And so we took those volunteers at the homecoming game and marched out on the field with the human jukebox and presented a $1.1 million check to the system presidents and the chancellors. We were really proud of that, right? It was a big feat. It was the first time that anything of that magnitude had been done at Southern University. So we said, let's keep going with this and get more people engaged and get them involved, right? Because we don't have the large development staffs that they have at the very large schools, right? We only have on our staff currently, and we've grown exponentially, right, over the period of the last 5 years, 6 people in the entire system whose job it is to raise money, 6 paid professionals. So we thought the idea that James had was really a great idea, right? So that we could look at the resources we had, right, at our fingertips to go on and ask volunteers to help us to raise money. Well, organizations like the Girl Scouts, the Boy Scouts, American Red Cross, right, the Cancer Society has used volunteers for years. And they raised a tremendous amount of resources to support those wonderful causes. So we thought we could do the same thing. So where we are today, we sit at 344 captains. Give yourself another round of applause. You're not all here today. Some of you are online with us, viewing. Some of you couldn't be with us, but we're really proud of that number. We have 344 volunteer fundraisers helping us to raise money. Last year, we walked out on the field and presented a check. Remember the 1.1 million in 2014. Last year, we walked out on the field with the human jukebox and presented a check for 10.9 million. Comes a long way, right? So if you did a percentage increase over that period of time, all right, that's almost 1,000% increase in revenue from volunteers. So I put some slides up here I want you to see to kind of give you an idea of where we came from. So this number started in 2013 shows you the amount of money that was raised by the Southern University System Foundation from all of its campuses, and we serve as a custodian for a number of funds, right? And these are all audited numbers, independently audited numbers. So you can go to our audit online and check these numbers and check my math, okay? All right, $6.8 million in 2013. All right, in 2014, 8.1, 15, 8.8, 2016, 9 million, 2017, 10.9, and in 2018, which hasn't been audited yet, we're going to get our board to approve that in the next week, $11.2 million. We together collectively have raised over this period of time $55 million. Give Give yourself a round. Just be excited. All right? It's a lot of money, right? And some of you may be wondering, so where did all this money go? Well, I'm going to tell you that $55 million over the course of the last 5.5 years has been distributed this way. Capital projects, right? So on our campuses, not only the Baton Rouge campus, those dollars have been directed to help and advance capital or strategic capital projects. To name a few, the Valdry Center, the Innovation Center, the Honoré Program and Honoré Center, right? The Williams Center in Shreveport, Jaguar Park, Clayton Championship Plaza, okay? And we have on tap this year, right, if we're able to close on it, almost a $60 million student housing project that we're going to bring online. So 21% of those dollars have gone to that over the last 5 years. To our faculty, right, as well as strategic initiatives for our faculty, 33.6% of those dollars have gone there to them in the form of grants, training, academic resources, right, endowed professorships and chairs. That's where those dollars have been dispersed. And the biggest slice of this pie has gone to where it should go, our students. 45.2% of those dollars have gone to our students. Now, I didn't put this slide up here. I'm going to mention it to you next, right? On the overall success of all of our captains per capita, right? Meaning the average gift that each captain has received and they've raised over a 12-month period, right? The average captain is raising right at $10,000 a year. Imagine if the average captain number went up to $25,000 a year and where this number would be in the next 5 years. More than double, right? And all the advances that you've been able to see over the last 5 years, right, would double. Our overall academic enterprise on all 5 of our campuses would double, right? Think about how that will look to you when you drive on those campuses, right? Think about how our students are going to feel about those services, right? Our institution will continue to grow. I want to thank you for what you've done over the last 5 years, but I want to challenge you to do a little bit more. I want you to try to raise, right, $25,000 individually for the folks that are gathered here, right, as well as the folks who are sharing with us online right now. Each captain, no less than $25,000 this year. We have a new incentive that we're putting for our captains over your lifetime, because once you sign up to be a captain, you're with us for life, right? Okay? You're with us for life. We're going to keep sending you emails, right? We don't care if you're unsubscribed. We'll find out how to get to you. You're with us forever, right? But our new incentive, and we're going to recognize captains this year, and then I'm going to take my seat at our gala, our donor appreciation gala, for those captains who over their lifetime have raised no less than $250,000, right? And so we have many of them who have done that, right? That's drawing that, that's bringing that average number up. But we want to challenge you to get to that number, right? And you think about what we've asked you to do, $25,000 a year, right? So how many years will it take you to get to the 250 if you're just getting started, okay? But if you do more than the 25, you'll get there a lot quicker. All right. Thank you for coming again, and we look forward to talking with you. We look forward to seeing you on the field at homecoming this year, right, when we present the $11.2 million check to our assistant president and the chancellors. Thanks again, and God bless.
Well, I want to thank Al for those words of encouragement and those words for us to reach for, those goals, those things that we need to obtain. That number seems like a very large number, but some of the things that we're going to talk about today are going to help us to get to that number. So I want everybody to feel comfortable to know that they're going to be able to reach not only that $25,000 plateau, but be able to go above and beyond that, because that's what we want to do. We're looking here for exponential growth, and you'll hear us use that word a lot That's a word that fundraisers use a lot in their demeanor in their conversations, but that's what we want to do. We want to take the captains that are here in this room and those that are watching, and we want to grow this campaign. We want to make sure that you can reduplicate yourself into other people. And as you have individuals who are on your captain's list and you're calling your donors and you're saying, you know what, I see you making those donations. I see you're interested in what we're doing. How about you becoming the captain? And we want to continue to exponentially grow not only our donors, but our overall dollar base. And so with that, we'll continue with the rest of our program. Just going into a few slight things here, just for those who are online, so they can see the mission that we have here for the Southern University System Foundation. And one of the things that we want to do is we want to incorporate all of those things that we have. The foundation is a voluntary institution of business and professional leaders proudly incorporated to provide broader educational services to our students to encourage research among our faculty and advance the university's role in helping build an increasingly functional Louisiana. And so the things that we're doing today and the things that we're going to continue to do throughout the campaign all go back towards our mission. And a lot of people, I'm a full proponent of asking people why they got involved. And to me, the mission is the starting point of that. And if you have a strong mission, which we do have here, we have a strong foundation, and we have a strong foundation, and we're going to continue to build upon it. And these are the things that we're going to continue to build upon with. As we've mentioned before, the $1 Million March is a campaign. It's a viral campaign. And some of the things that we'll be discussing today are some of the instances of how you can contain that viral campaign and grow it. Because one of the things we want to do is not just keep it contained to ourselves, but we want to take it to the broader base. We want to take it to a multi-generational base. We want to make sure that people outside of this community, the Southern University system, knows about our True Blue and our $1 Million March, because we don't want to just be amongst ourselves raising these dollars. We want the entire community to know what we're doing, the things that we're improving, not only for our students, but for the state of Louisiana and for the world. And Al has given us a little history here of where we started our campaign at. Just think of where we started at a coffee table with a napkin, with volunteers with a plan. The same thing that we're doing here. We're planting those seeds so that they can give us big returns, and just think of where we can go with what we can do with the individuals that we have in this room and the individuals that we're going to continue to grow and gain into the campaign as we grow momentum into the next phases of it. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Robert Easley, and he's going to introduce some of our students that are here in faculty and talk a little bit more about our impact. And I think it's really important to talk about the impact and what it's actually doing. So, Robert?
Thanks, Robert. Hello, everyone. That's been very confusing for us some days in the office, where someone will say, "Hey, Robert," and we're both looking up like, which one? But beyond that, my name is Robert Easley, and I'm the program director. In my day-to-day responsibilities, I worked with scholarships, and another piece that we really wanted to get you familiar with this year was the research. So I'm going to talk a little bit today about the impact, and what you see here is a picture of some ongoing research going on right here on campus. And just to give you a little bit of information about that, Southern University is a research institution. It is our duty and responsibility to be producing discovery-based research, to produce patents and things of that nature. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that before I turn that over. So the 1880 scholarships and faculty research grants, in 2018, we provided $200,855 in total student support. And in 2018, we had $168,000 in faculty grants. This, of course, like I said, has a direct impact on the university, and just basically shows the world that, hey, we're here, we're producing things that are worthwhile, and that's pretty much improving the quality of life. So again, today the project that we're going to discuss is from the Urban Forestry Department, and it's called Sustainable Management of an Invasive Weed, Using Biological Control as a Tool for Research and Teaching. So right now I'm going to bring up Dr. Veronica and Charity. As I said, they're both from the Urban Forestry Department, and they're just going to give you a little bit of information about their presentation.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I'm very happy to be here. Let's see if we can put up my presentation. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks. Okay, so I'm a new faculty at urban forestry here at Southern University, and today I'm going to talk about the research we are doing, and this is called Sustainable Management of Invasive Species, and we're using this as a research program, but also as a teaching program. So first, I want to introduce the topic of invasive species. Why do we care about it? Why are we funding these projects? And this is mostly species that are coming from other countries that are introduced here intentionally or unintentionally, and then they start spreading and causing problems. So I'm sure you have heard about the reduction of our native species, they change the community, and also they can alter the ecosystem as a whole. For sure, they cause a lot of problems when we have new diseases affecting our crops, new insect pests, and so that is causing also a lot of problems in agriculture and also in the forestry. So actually, we are spending a lot of money to manage these invasive species. We're spending $120 billion every year in the United States. So yes, it is a big problem, and that's the reason we need people doing research on these invasive species. So here I will show some pictures of very common, maybe you have seen them before, invasive species affecting the USA right now. So this is kudzu vine. It's a vine that can grow and completely overturn all the ecosystems, as you can see in the picture. We have the emerald ash borer, also a lot of insects affecting our crops. In this case, it's affecting our ash trees. Actually, this insect is in North Louisiana, so it's a huge problem for the Forest Service right now. And we have had many diseases in the past. This is just an example of how one disease can almost decimate a whole tree population. In this case was the American chestnut, that unfortunately we have very few right now. And we have other animals, no? We like to bring in exotic pets, and then we release them. And this is the python in the Everglades National Park in Florida. Huge problem right now is eating a lot of our native fauna. So going back to what we're doing here, this is an invasive vine. So this is the plant that I will be talking about and a little bit about the projects that we're doing in my lab. So this is aerial potato vine, and here you can see some pictures. It's here in Baton Rouge, so if you find it, let us know. And so it's a heart-shaped leaves, and they reproduce through those aerial bulbils, and they can cover whole areas. So this is in South Louisiana. So you can imagine all the plants that are below. So they're suffocating the plants, and it's really changing the whole community. So the distribution of the plant in the United States is in the southern United States, and here in Louisiana is mostly in the central and south Louisiana. So there's different ways that we can manage this weed. So we can collect all those bulbils, pull the vines out, but you can imagine that this is not cost-effective, very difficult to do, and the vine keeps coming back. And unfortunately, we are relying on chemical control. We are spraying a lot of herbicides and insecticides to manage invasive species. And if you see that person covered with those safety equipment, it's because it's not very safe what he's spraying. It's very toxic. So we're trying to reduce the amount of chemicals that we are using in the environment. So here it comes biological control. So why don't we use insects that are feeding on those weeds to try to manage the weed? So these are insects that are only feeding on that weed, so it's not going to feed on other plants. And actually, these beneficial insects are released, they start spreading, and they start managing the weed. So this is a more sustainable way to manage invasive species, it's cost-effective, and also is environmentally friendly. And that is what is biological control. So it's a great idea, actually. But I'm not so innovative. This is an idea that has been going on for a long time. So biocontrol has been very successful for the last 100 years. So not only here in the United States, but also in other countries. And this is a program that is actually here in Louisiana, very successful from LSU. And this is giant salvinias, an aquatic weed. And they use that weevil to control the weed, so you can see how the plant starts dying out, and suddenly we have a clear canal or lake that we can use for many reasons. So this is helping and saving a lot of money to Louisiana. So going back to our program, this is the star of the show. It's a little beetle that feeds on air potato. So this is helping to fight this invasive plant. So this is the larva and the adult feeding. I know that a lot of you're not entomologists. I'm not going to get into the details, but mostly they feed on the leaves, and the leaves fall down, and it's managing the growth of the plant. So we saw very promising results in the first year of the program. This is a site before the insect was released, and this is a site after the insects were released. So you can see, of course, this is the best site, so not all look like this. But here's just an example of how the plants cannot grow anymore because the insects are feeding on them over and over again. And that helps the environment to recover. So people are very happy with this program. So here with this project, we wanted to develop a research program here at Southern University. I didn't have any funding for this research before. And use this for students to have some hands-on activities. In the lab, doing the research. When I teach, they also work with the beetles, so it's just a model that we can use for different projects. So, of course, nothing can be done without my graduate students, and Charity Schaffer is the leader of this project. She's doing a PhD in my lab, and I will leave you with her so she can explain what she has been doing. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon. I didn't realize how popular I was. I was in another presentation. But I want to talk to you guys about some of the things that I've experienced since I've been funded with the SU Foundation. I only started or joined this project in fall of 2018, but before I came, beetle releases have been being conducted since 2016, and our beetles have survived Louisiana's harsh winters. I know that sounds funny, but and we have seen a reduction of air potato in some sites. Here you can see a map of some of the releases that we've done since 2016. I am here with my lab mates right here. We are at a field site in Edgard, Louisiana, where we went and we collected some of the air potato bulbils, or potatoes, and we have started growing them in the greenhouse. We have about 37 plants there now, and they're growing so fast and going all into the ceiling. We have to clean it out every so often. But these plants serve as a food source for the beetle colony that we've started here on campus. You can see myself and another student, Siobhan, in the lab. We are providing fresh food, which are the leaves from the air potato vine, to keep our beetles alive and well. And they are some hungry little whippersnappers. They eat constantly. All right, in order to effectively monitor the damage and the impact of the beetle, we chose 3 specific field sites. These are national parks who are trying to preserve the natural landscape. So you could imagine that they don't want any invasive species in their parks because they want to preserve it. So we have Bluebonnet Swamp and Nature Center here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Tooten Park in Lake Charles, the city of Lake Charles, and then we have Jean Lafitte National Historical Park in Marrero, Louisiana. Measuring the impact. As you can see in the picture on the right, we have a lot of plant cover in this 1 meter squared quadrant. When we go out into the field, what we like to measure is the plant cover, if there are any of the bulbils present, and if there's any beetle damage. And in this picture, we can see that there's in that picture, we can see high plant cover and low beetle damage. And in this picture, you can see that there is low plant cover, and high beetle damage. That means that our beetle has successfully established in that site and is wreaking havoc on that plant. This is what we look for. All right, so We go out to each site monthly. This is Tooten Park. We went last month. And as you can see, there's very little plant cover there. Lots of beetle damage, too. We got to see that. But in this site, that's also here in Tooten Park, there's lots of plant cover. So we had to do another beetle release. If you can see in that corner up there, that's some of the damage that we were able to observe at Tooten Park. And here is Dr. Veronica doing her thing and releasing some of our beetles in the field that day. We were also able to do releases at residential properties. We worked alongside LSU Extension agent Dan Davenport, and we've been able to provide him with 150 beetles from our colony to release in the Lafayette area. We also worked with the Bayou program this year. We had about 30 high school students that came to visit us and that were housed on the campus for 3 weeks. We let them rotate through all of the programs in the ag department, and you can see me teaching and talking about my research. We also helped them to conduct an experiment on host specificity testing, which means that we were trying to prove to them or let them see the results for themselves that the air potato beetle will only attack the air potato leaves. So as you can see, the other leaves are unscathed while the air potato leaf is damaged. And you can see that the students are making observations and taking measurements and data from their experiment. I'm also very heavily involved in the community. These young scientists in the making, the little girls in the picture on my right, I met them at Earth Day in April. They were so interested in the insect collection that I had and in the crafts that they wanted to learn a little bit more. So I got with their mom, she got my information, and she stayed in touch. And they actually came to the lab. They were able to see the plants in the greenhouse, observe insects under the microscope, and they helped me to clean out beetle cages and feed beetles. So it's really good to see young children doing this. Hopefully I can get them interested in entomology and have them come to Southern University one day. I also was able to visit McKinley Middle Magnet, which was good for me because I used to teach there. I was able to see some of my former students and former colleagues and present my research at the same time. We also have volunteer opportunities for high school students. This is Tyler Wallace. He attends Southern University's laboratory school. He's helped us in the field and with our beetles. And you can see him in this picture here gathering leaves, or what we joke about. We call it making groceries for the beetles so that we can feed them every day. I've also had an opportunity to present at different scientific meetings. The Entomological Society of America Southeastern Branch in Mobile in March 2019, and the Association of 1890 Research Directors meeting in Jacksonville, Florida in April. And this has been a good experience because I'm so immersed in my own research that I got a chance to see what other people are doing and to make contacts and, really discuss other projects with my peers, and hopefully I'll make some collaborations in the future. And this research is very rewarding personally, but it's also it's a rewarding experience to win awards for your research. I was able to place second at the Louisiana Society of American Foresters annual meeting in February. And as you can see, I was really excited about that. So I would really like to thank the foundation for the funding that you've provided me. And I hope that with my research that I'm upholding the mission of community and education.
Thank you. Thank you. I also want to take this opportunity to thank everybody involved in this project, including my collaborator at LSU, Dr. Diaz, and all the scientists and park managers that are opening their doors and let us do the research there and actually volunteer their hours for us. And the Department of Urban Forestry that supports this project, all the students involved. And of course, we want to thank the Southern University System Foundation for their funding this project. This is really helping me increase and enhance my research program at Urban Forestry. Of course, it's supporting great students like Charity to take the lead and focus on the research, and also is helping improve the life of our stakeholders. We are looking for solutions for their invasive species problems. And finally, we're very happy to be involved with the community. So we hope to continue with this project in the future. So this is just some final pictures, because I just want to make an emphasis that we're not only talking about air potato with the students. We're talking about science in general, and we do a lot of outreach activities, and also we hope to engage the future generations. So we are very happy about that. So thank you very much again. Thank you, Chair.
Well, once again, thank you, Veronica and Charity, for that great presentation. And that's just one of the ways, just one example of the funding that the Southern University System Foundation and True Blue and the $1 Million March is funding some of our innovative research and education out in the community. And so it's just not here at Southern University. You see how we're reaching out into the world. And so the help of that was done by the captains, our donors, our individuals that we have engaged with this campaign. And now you see why it's so important to have our captains be educated in what we're doing in our fundraising endeavors. So let me change the slides here for 1 second, and we'll get started with the other part of the training program. Okay, and we're back on. So as we are moving through, and as we're right here at the training for our kickoff for the $1 Million March, some important dates that we have that'll be coming up that we want to make sure that everyone's aware of. July 1st, as we mentioned, this is a 90-day campaign. The reason why we have it as a 90-day campaign, because we want to have that compactness to it, and we don't want to have donor and captain fatigue. And so that's why we have the campaign to be structured that way, and it's also structured to be a viral campaign. So as we get momentum throughout the campaign, you'll begin to see the increases and the communications increase throughout the campaign. So today we're at the kickoff here. Our next upcoming date would be on September the 30th, and that's actually the end of the campaign. That's going to be our SU Give Day. We're going to be located here in the Valdry Center. We're going to have our call command center, but one of the things that we're going to be doing is we're leading up towards that, is so we're going to be sending out communication and information pieces out to our captains and individuals, gearing them on to be prepared for our SU Give Day, and as we move throughout the campaign, as we get towards that ending point. As Al talked about, we don't have T-shirts here today, but we're going to have those T-shirts and those things. We're going to have a great celebration come October the 31st at our captain's reception. And then as we move on to November the 2nd, we're going to have that check presentation on the football field, and then on November the 29th, we'll have our gala at the Hyatt. So we'll be moving on throughout the campaign as we move throughout, but I just wanted to introduce those important dates. Responsibilities of a captain, and this is where the rubber hits the road with our training here. Really want to focus in on some of those things that we're beginning to develop, and a lot of these captains that we've had here. How many here are first-time captains, first-year captains? We have any first-year captains? Okay. All right, we have a few, and that's the reason why I wanted to point out that means that's growth. We have continued growth, and I know we have some folks online that are first-time captains. I want to make sure we go over our responsibilities. I know we have some captains here that have been doing it 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year. Maybe this is their 6th year doing being a captain for the $1 Million March. Just want to go over the responsibilities, set the tone for the campaign. Some of the things on here are very generic, but some of the things on here we really want to focus in on, like setting the positive tone for philanthropic giving to the system. Use the examples that you've heard here today. Use the other examples that you've seen in the $1 Million March brochure, which is hitting everybody's inbox. Look on our website. It's full of information about details of things that we've done as a foundation, where we've been, where we're going, where we're looking to move forward to. You'll get communication pieces out in your inbox, in your mailboxes all the time about what the foundation is doing and setting the tone and the vibe of the campaign. Make sure you utilize that information, because that's going to be really good stuff that you can send out to your donors, and be creative with the things that we send out to you. Another part is that we want you to raise not only that minimum of $100, I want you to think about increasing that amount. As Al mentioned, we want to have each one of our fundraisers thinking about, and not only thinking, but achieving that $25,000 goal mark. It's just not a number that we just pulled out the sky and thought that, hey, this would be a great number, that we want everybody to be a captain and to reach that number each annual as a year. But just think of the impact story that we just heard here, that we're doing at Southern University. There are plenty more stories out there that we can do. There's plenty more stories that we are doing. Just think of how much more we can fund, not only for our students and our faculty and for our community at Southern University. And so the world is looking at us to continue to raise these dollars and do important things. Responsibilities throughout the campaign is to continue to be a part of, participate with the SU Give Day on September the 30th. Attend the captain's reception, which it's on Halloween night, so we're thinking about maybe doing something a little creative here. But one of the things we want to make sure you're involved in that. And then number 9 is one of the most important things that we continue to do, is thanking the donors. And to me, that's about stewardship. And without stewardship, we don't retain donors. And without retaining donors, we don't hit our goals and our objectives. And so one of the things that we want to do is, we're working on it here from the foundation aspect, is immediately after donors donate, we want to recognize them. And so as you get donors and they donate to you, no matter what gift level they get, if they become 1880 Society members, we want to make sure we recognize them and donate them. If they're coming in with that introductory gift at $25, we want to make sure that we immediately recognize those individuals, because no matter where that donor might come in, what the things we're looking to do is, so we're looking to exponentially grow and retain donors. And then as donors mature throughout their donation history, that $100 donor will turn into that $1,000 donor. I'm an example of one of those donors. And then what I'm doing is bringing in other donors at that same donor level that I'm at. So that's what we want to do, is as you get more captains, you get more individuals, continue to grow. And that's some of the responsibilities of a captain. That'll help you reach that $25,000 mark. That'll help you reach that $250,000 mark. And don't be afraid of the number. The number is just a goal that we put out there. But we're going to give you the technique and the theories and the things that you need to help reach those benchmarks. We also have recognition, because we understand being a captain means a lot to a lot of people, and we want to make sure we recognize our captains for the things that they're doing. There's one thing that we're going to change on the slide, and at the end of the presentation, for all the captains that are here and the ones that are viewing online on YouTube, we're going to make sure that you get this presentation. We want to make sure that every captain is trained. So I'm going to be out training more captains. But this is just something that we want to do. And this is just a donor recognition system. Just want to make one observation that there's going to be one correction to this, that for the True Blue Gala appreciation, that's going to be $1,000 and up instead of that $500 mark. As we're looking to increase and build our campaign. We want to make sure we move forward with that. So that's one of the things that we've deviated to. But everything pretty much here stays the same as far as recognition for a captain. And so we want to make sure that that's something that you see and that you understand, and is that you bring on other captains that they can see these recognition pieces, because we do want to recognize our volunteers who are out there raising the dollars and being a part of our campaigns and being the faces of the foundation as they reach out to their donors and potential donors. We want to make sure that you are recognized for your hard work and your endeavors that you're doing for the foundation. All right, we're back on. So we're just going to switch up here and move from the slides to. Next part is our fundraising tips, and as we kind of move forward and go through what we're asking donors and captains to do, is that we're going to talk about some of the tips for being a captain with the campaign. Some of these are very general in nature, but want to make sure that you're prepared for the ask. And when you are a captain, that you have the materials that you want to have as far as making the ask. If you're making a call, if you're making an email donation request, if you're doing it by a handwritten letter, if you're doing it by a letter, if you're doing it by text messaging, or you're doing it by social media, make sure you have all the information that you need. And then what we're going to do is we're going to give you information by having coffee calls and morning calls or afternoon calls. Some of the things that I'm going to do and include in that, and as I mentioned earlier, we have first-time captains. We have captains that have been a part of the campaign for a while. So what I want to do is work with those captains on different levels, so that way you get all the information that you need so that you're fully prepared to go out and raise those dollars that we need. Identify yourself in your role as a $1 Million March captain during the ask. Make sure you say, hello, my name's Robert Harrison. I'm with the Southern University System Foundation. I am a captain for the $1 Million March. Be proud of that. Say that, and make sure that they understand the value and the impact that you're doing as a captain and why you're going to make them be a part of the ask. Then go ahead and deliver the information and the messaging for the financial contribution. Utilize the face-to-face, the telephone, and the social media aspect. One of the things that we're going to talk about a little bit more in detail is using that technology not only just to exponentially grow and continue to grow our campaign, but to broaden our reach and our impact. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in further part of the program. And then direct donors to the giving page, and then also making sure you always say that thank you. As we go ahead and talk a little bit about the SU Give Day, which will be on September the 30th, we want to make sure that we have that script for you. And so we'll have this information. And so once we get ready to be a part of that program, we'll have the scripting to resend out and redistribute the information so that way you're prepared for it. The verbiage is just there for you to kind of use. We want you to put your own touch, your own tenor, your own tone to it. You know your donors. You know how you communicate with them. You know the information that they're looking for. And you know the value and the impact that you want to get out for it. And so as you're looking forward, as you're building up throughout that, make sure you have this information. And we'll have this online, and we'll share this with each and every one of the captains. So you have this, and so you could do your own mini Give SU Day. If you can't be here at the Valdry Center, want to make sure you do that in wherever you're at as you're building forward, as we're moving throughout the campaign. And as we talk about ways to give for the $1 Million March, for the campaign, there's two main ways that a lot of people give. We're starting to receive a lot of the mailers that were included into the $1 Million March brochures, and then also by our online giving page. And that's where we're getting a lot of our dollars, and we're fueling a lot of our energy is through our online giving, because sometimes getting that mailer is not so efficient, but sending an email, sending a text message, sending a social media status is one of the ways that we're getting a lot of returns. And as we talk about growing our campaign and reaching more people and having more impact, these are the ways that we're going to do it. So we'll go over a few examples here as we move forward. First, our online giving steps. This slide is really representative of what it's going to take and of what it does to give an online feature step by step. And the reason why we wanted to include this is so that you can have this information step by step is going to our site, first off, selecting the giving level that you want to contribute to. And you could talk to donors through this and talk your donors through this. selecting you as a $1 million March captain, or the person who asked to give. Letting them select their affiliation with the university. Letting them say if they're alumni or not, if they're a business, if they're a foundation, if they're non-alumni or an individual who just has never attended Southern University, but they're captivated about what you're doing as a captain and want to get involved. And then being able to select the fund designation where the gift goes. And with that, we want to make sure if an individual is selecting that, if they select an 1880 or an annual fund, you can designate your gift to the campus department or organization. But then also making sure that they can, if they're a part of that, if they're 1880 and above, that gift will not be designated for 1880, it will be designated for the campus or the gift of the department. So if you have those individuals who are looking to be 1880 society members, make sure you do let them know about that information, because we want to make sure we continue to grow that part of our campaign as well. And then step 6 is a very simple step. Type the college or department that would like to benefit from your selection of the 5 campuses. The designation is an optional feature, but it's selection for the campuses alone would benefit for the campaigns of the annual fund. And as you talk people through the online giving portion, this is what our online page looks like. And if you haven't had a chance to take a look at our new and improved online giving page, take some time to familiarize yourself with that. This is just a live screenshot that I took earlier this morning of what it looks like. As you see, you'll have the home button, you'll see the About Us, you'll see the volunteer. The page that I want to direct you to, the tab I want to direct you to, is the $1 Million March, which you'll land on this page, and it kind of goes over everything. And as you go through it, you can go down the page, and it'll show you different screenshots that we're going to see in the next series of slides here. So these are about our reoccurring and online giving gifts. Once you get into that portion of the giving cycle, or once you find that designation and they're online, you want to make sure they select that 1880 annual fund. This is the way they could select a fund, and it goes to the designated 1880 or the alumni foundation federation donations. The designated fund, once they select that Southern University, they could put if they're part of a college, if they're political science, if they're the College of Agriculture, they could put that information on when they're online as they're making their donation. This is directly just directing you to the $1 Million March page. If you're always online, if you're looking to find it, it's a pretty simple research page. If you go to Google and you put in Southern University System Foundation $1 Million March, this information will pop up, and you'll go directly to our online page. Once you get that individual there, what you want to do is to have you to advise them to select their giving level. And as you're advising them to give that giving level, it's kind of up to you as the captain to know those individuals and to know your donors. And so as you're giving that information, sometimes you want to reach your donors and have your donors to donate at the level that you're giving. Sometimes you know that donor, and that donor is going to be that introductory level. So I wouldn't always tell you to say donate at this level and just tell everybody to donate at this level. Different people are going to be able to donate at different levels. So make sure that you preempt them to say, well, hey, I'm a donor at I'm a member of 1880 Society and I give $1,000, or hey, I'm a member of the J.S. Clark Circle and I give $5,000, or hey, I'm a True Blue supporter and I give $100. Make sure you kind of go over those individual roles and let them know that any gift is greatly appreciated, but let them know where you're at, what your ambitions are, and where we're looking to move forward to the campaign. Because there's nothing, I feel as though there's nothing wrong with letting individuals know where you're at, where we want to go, and how important it is for them to be a part of the campaign. So don't be afraid to ask people for money, because one of the things that a lot of research and a lot of studies has shown is a lot of people don't give because they haven't been asked. And that's why it was so important for the captains to do that, is to make that ask. And don't be afraid to make that ask. And make the ask and just let them think about it. The first person that kind of talks is the first person that loses sometimes in sales, but as we're doing fundraising, let them think about the value, the impact, the reason why you're giving, your why of why you're giving, and ask them to be a part of our campaign, and then let them make their donation. Once you get online, make sure they select you as a captain, and I just freshly refreshed this. This is a live screenshot. This is a screenshot of our online portion. So once they get down to that online giving portion, go in and find your name, and make sure your name's on that captain roll. If your name's not on that captain roll, give me an email, or shoot me a phone call. That way we can make sure that you're on that drop-down list. But that's very important because, as Al talked about earlier, setting that tone for you as a captain to reach that $25,000, to reach that lifetime giving goal of $250,000, we want to make sure your name is there and you're recognized as being a captain. And one of the things that we'll do throughout the campaign is make sure that we give you captain updates of where you're at in your giving, of your donation cycle, of how many donations you have, how many gifts that you've received, how many dollars that you've raised. If you have a goal to say, hey, $25,000 is not where I want to be, I want to try and raise, I think I can raise $30,000. We want to give you that information. If you're like, I'm a brand new captain and I think I can maybe raise about $5,000, I want to give you those tools that are going to make you be successful. So this is a part of it. And so this is what that live screenshot looks like. I would also advise you take some time to go to the website and familiarize yourself with the website as you're talking through other individuals about the website. Take your time and kind of go over it. Go page by page, tab by tab, explore the website. If you have any questions, feel free to give us a call here at the foundation and we'll gladly assist you and walk you through anything. So right now, these are just some examples of other ways to give. We've talked about online giving. We've talked about sending emails. People still send letters. A lot of people still value the responses that they send through letters. So as you're going down and you're looking to add new donors to your campaign as you as a captain, think about how you approach your individuals and you know the individuals that you want. A lot of people don't feel comfortable doing the online portion. Some people still want the paper copies. So that's why we have the $1 million brochures. That's why we have the inserts that are available for you. That's why we have sample letters that we'll have available for you. So this is just one way of a sample letter that you can send out to an individual if they're one of your donors for the $1 million march. Another way is a text to donate. I looked at it, I just did one to my frat brothers. You know, this is something that you can easily do. With text to donate, a lot of people are really familiar with these text to give options. The reason why we want text to donate is because you can kind of control the narrative. You can set the tone, you can put the information out there. The text to donate is kind of more triggered for you to have a messaging and you can continue the messaging to a group. One of the things that you can do with that is make sure that that link is mobile friendly. And our website is mobile friendly, so it allows for you to put that website page up there, right there, the foundation.sus.edu/$1 million march. That's the picture that'll show up. So you can have that information on there. If you want to have it for 1880 Society specific, it'll show up and land right on that page. The reason why we want to do that instead of just having a text to give campaign is because in a text to give campaign, you're kind of restricted by the amount of dollars that you can give. So it's either a $10 or a $25 or a $15 gift range. When we do a text to donate like this, you control the narrative. You can set the example of where you want people to give. You could give people the notion of, I'm giving this much, I want you to give at this level, and then they come to our landing page. It's very mobile friendly, and it gives you that advantage to do that. And you can send those text messages out. We'll talk a little bit about how frequent you would want to send those out, but it's an easier platform to use, and our web page is fully functional and it is text mobile friendly that it'll allow you to do this. And this is just an example of how you could do this throughout the campaign. Social media giving is another way. As you do social media, make the ask personal. You know the individuals you're going to send on social media, or if you're going to send it out to everybody, you can send it out to everybody. Be concise and grab their attention. I used an example for this is SU Give Day. This is our final reminder. Tomorrow is the last day to make a gift for the 2019 $1 million march for the Southern University System Foundation. Recognizing this person's been a supporter in the past, and then make sure that, we haven't received your gift this year, but we want to do that. The same technique I use with the text to donate, I'm using with my social media. I'm driving them to our website. I'm giving them a story. I'm giving them a narrative. I'm using the mobile technology because that's some way I could get it out a little bit easier and quicker. And if you want to use email, you can use email the same format. But the visuals matter. I could have used a picture of me, or I could have used the embedded picture that's going to be on the website. Sometimes if you know your audience, use your pictures. If you have a picture of you when you were at Southern University, use that picture. If you're at a football game, or if you're talking to members of your church, use pictures that people relate to. Because when people see that story and they see something that relates to them, it automatically, instinctively says, I'm a part of that. How can I continue to be a part of that? How can I continue to support that? So that's just some of the ways that you can use the social media, social giving. Our platform works on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And if you need help with that, or if you need help with setting it up, just give me a call. I could give you some more examples or walk you through how to do that. But it goes through the same process that you would do with anything online. Once they get to our landing page, they'll click the little landing button and they'll go directly to our online page, and they'll be able to make the donation just as they would with any other platform or any other way of communication. We talked a little bit about reach and impressions, and one of the things that we want to do is continue to grow our campaign with the $1 Million March, because we want more captains, we want more donors, we want to increase the amount of giving. We want that check that Al is going to present next year to be $13, $14 million. And so the way that we do that is to getting more reaches and more impressions. And this is just some social media stuff that we have. The reach refers to the total number of unique accounts that have seen your post. Okay, impressions means it's measured the total number of times that users have seen your post or story. And so one of the things that we're suggesting that as you go through and think about how many times I'm going to send this information out, how many times I'm going to send this out to my donors, I'm going to reach out to them again. One of the things that we don't want to run into is donor fatigue. When they're seeing your messages over and over every day, this guy's just bombarding me with messages and stuff like that. One of the things that we recommend is that once a week, do a text to donate. Use a different story, use a different narrative, use a different picture, use a different approach with that. The same thing with social media. Once a week, make it poignant. Find a way to do it, send it out. Some people like to send the information out midweek. Some people like to send it out as we have football games and things like that going towards the weekend. Find a narrative point with your group or your individuals that you're reaching out to send that communication out. And with email, we feel like that's a very personal and a very calculated approach. Look at doing that once every other week, so that way it stays fresh in their mind, but you're just not falling out of their inbox, but you're still staying present with them. And then there's also telephone. There's face-to-face. There's different ways to make those communication touch points as you're going through and as you're being that captain and you're cultivating, you're driving new donors and you're getting new individuals to be a part of it. Use all the techniques that you know that you feel comfortable with. And I wouldn't ask you guys to do something that you don't feel comfortable with, but think about the ways that you do feel comfortable with communicating to your peers or to your donors or to new donors as you gather information and get theories and thoughts and ways to communicate with those donors as far as letters or campaign initiatives that we might have. Utilize those things and utilize some of these techniques because they do work, and they're able to get individuals to become a part of that donation cycle. And once they become donors, one of the things that we do from the office standpoint, we send that thank you letter right away from the foundation. They get that immediately. What we're also having is, you might see some of our JAG talkers in the back, they're helping me write handwritten letters to every donor. So every donor is going to get a handwritten letter approach. Just another way that we're stewarding our donors and saying thank you for that. And then we're also sending out information that you'll see that you'll get from electronic information from our e-blast and things like that. So we're making sure once you get these donors in that we show them the love, that we appreciate them. We're showing them some of the value and the impact of the research and some of the things that we're doing for faculty and for students and some of the things that we want to do not only for our Southern University but for the community in whole, because that's what the value of our dollars, and that's what we're raising dollars for. We're just not raising dollars just to raise dollars, but there's a story behind each one of the dollars that we do raise and the impact that we want to have. And as we move forward with things, we're looking at other giving opportunities. We don't want to forget about matching gifts. Exxon is a perfect example of a matching gift of a company that not only matches 1-to-1, but they match 3-to-1. Think about ways that you can exponentially grow, that we can continue to grow the campaign. There's some companies out there that do dollars for doers. If you're at a company that says, well, if I volunteer 60 hours, I can get $500 or however many hours, I could give those dollars to Southern University and the System Foundation. Think about that as you're doing your donation. Matching gifts, the one thing you want to do is to check with the company that your HR normally has that information. You could also check with us. We could do some research and see if your company's a matching gift company, and we could get you the information that you need from a foundation aspect so you can make sure that that gift gets credited to you as a captain, because those dollars do get credited to you as a captain. Planned giving is another way to give towards Southern University, the system, and the foundation as you move forward through it. And if you have any questions about planned giving, the donors are interested in those type of things, contact the foundation. Al and myself will be able to help assist you with individuals that want to maybe donate property or land or some gifts, some financial gifts from stock annuities and things like that. We'll be able to assist you and move throughout the campaign throughout that. The other way that we can have other individuals, you can give your time, your talent, and you could be a volunteer. And that's just the way we're looking to grow the campaign. We want to have more volunteers, more captains. And so as individuals, you find somebody that says, well, hey, Chris, how can I be a captain? Or how can I be involved in this $1 Million March? This is our volunteer page. So as you see on our website, you go to the tab that just says volunteer. It takes you directly to that. Volunteers for the $1 Million March campaign must sign up no later than August 1. I'll extend that courtesy to you. And as we could get more captains in, I'll go out and do the training and get them the information and all the things that they need to be successful. But we want to get more captains and get captains in. So don't let that August the 1st deadline kind of throw individuals away. If you see somebody or you know someone who says, I could get 10 other people to donate, think of them as being a captain. And just don't be selfish and say, hey, I want to keep these people to myself and I want to make sure I raise that $25,000. Just think of how rewarding it is to have another individual that you brought on to be able to do the same thing that you're doing, and they're being able to bring on other individuals and grow our campaign. That's what we're all about. As we look in the $1 Million March brochures, you see that roll of donors. We want to increase that. We want to take that page from 4 or 5 pages to 10 pages. We want to make sure that that's so large that we have another recognition, or we find another way to recognize those donors. And so being a volunteer and getting more volunteers into that portion of the campaign is vital, is very crucial to what we need to do. And with that being said, I just want to say to those who are in the audience and to those who are watching on YouTube that volunteers do not necessarily have the time, they just have the heart. And that's what we ask you to be here. Have the heart, have the passion. We're going to give you the tools to be successful. We've heard the stories of why we're raising the dollars for the foundation. Why is it so important? Some of the things that the reason why you became a captain might be different from the reason why someone else became a captain. Find that narrative. Go back to our mission statement. Think about some of the things that you've seen here today. Think about that impact story. Think about the galvanization of having the entire Jaguar Nation and the entire community of Baton Rouge, the state of Louisiana, looking at Southern University to lead the way. We are leading the way in so many aspects, and one of the ways that we're doing it is having those volunteers. And to me, volunteers are the lifeblood of any organization. And what we've been able to do from that sit-down meeting at a coffee shop on a napkin to where we're at today, to where we're going to be 5 years from now. As Al mentioned, we're right at that $55 million raise. What if we get it to $1 billion? What if we get it to $100 million? Let's not limit ourselves to what we can do. We'll get there. We just need to continue to do the things that we're doing. And so in conclusion, as we kind of go through the end of the program here, we're going to open it up for those here in the audience and those at YouTube for questions. If you have any questions or feedbacks or anything that you want to ask, we want to ask that you ask those questions now. And at this time, Courtney, do you have anyone online that has any questions? Okay, then. Anybody online right now, if you want to participate or feedback in, feel free to type into the chat section of the YouTube feed, and we'll answer any of your questions. Any of our captains here have any questions or comments that you want to have approached or answered?
Hi, I'm Terry Braden. I'm a second-year captain. I've been a strong volunteer of the foundation, but have not stepped into that role of being a part of the captain team. And I just want to thank you for being very, for presenting this training to us in this manner. We've had some sporadic training, but this was great. And with these, with showing what the urban forestry is doing as a result of what we're doing, makes me more eager to grow my efforts.
Yeah, thank you. This has been a great presentation. I'm really glad that you highlighted something that most of us have no idea is going on at Southern with the agriculture stuff. We know it's Southern A&M, but we don't have that kind of knowledge. So that makes you want to go on and jump and do something exciting. Thank you. It's a good presentation.
Hello, I'm Jennifer Peters, a 6-year MDM captain, volunteer. And thank you, Mr. Harrison, for the presentation. But Al trained us well at the beginning. That's why I'm still here. Also, I really commend Al and his staff for turning fundraising around here at Southern University. One big thing is that once you contribute your gift, immediately you have received an invoice, not an invoice, but a receipt, a letter of thanks that, yes, you know, you gave this and you can use it. When we first received that, we said, huh? We hearing something from Southern University? And so that made a change. And so I've worked with companies to give, no trouble. I've worked with people to give, my classmates, everybody, have no trouble with them giving. So, you know, that's a plus, and to be kept up, and it should be carried around the campus. Thank you so much.
Thank you for those comments. And that's one of the things that we're striving for, is to make not only this campaign successful, but to make it fun, to make it localized and make it impactful as possible. And so as we kind of conclude here for the day, I once again, I want to reiterate that this isn't hard work. This is fun. This is enjoyable. This is something that we want volunteers and the donors and captains and those future captains and individuals to be a part of, to see the joy, the stories that we have here, to see hear the examples of what we're doing in the research world, to hear that we have tools that are going to help make you successful, to see the good time that we're going to have as we celebrate the hard works and the fruits of our efforts. So in closing, I just want to say thank everybody. Oh, we have one more question? Okay.
I always worry about the engagement and involvement of our students. And so Kimberly Scott, I'm Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs and Enrollment Management. And so I've worked at a couple of institutions where there's a student campaign and a parent campaign. And so if you have already mentioned this, I apologize, I'm just walking in late, but I would like to know if they're going to be engaged in this process as well, both students and parents.
Well, those are some of the reasons why I've come back to Southern University with some different thoughts and ideas of how we can engage students and parents. And so I've had some examples from other places of how to get student leadership. So I'm so glad to hear you there, because having those students involved and seeing what the foundation's doing, not only for them, but for future students, is very important. And that's the way we get those students involved in an early stage in their philanthropic giving. So if somebody say, hey, I'm 18 or 20, they're asking me to raise $250,000 for Southern University. I can do this. I've seen what the value is. I see what it's going to do for me. So I'm glad to have you here, and I'm glad to talk about some of those things with you. So looking forward to doing that. We have a question online. Okay.
Nakia Moten, she said, how are students involved in this campaign?
Okay, well, that's kind of a double question. So I don't have the examples right now, but I am building things into the campaign, and I've looked at some different things from different colleges and different places I've been. Some of the things that we could do are challenge campaigns, where we could challenge other institutions. So if we're playing at Jackson State, we could challenge out to Jackson State and say, our students are going to raise more dollars than your students. So then we can look at student leadership to get not only sororities and fraternities and groups on campuses involved, but going out and reaching out and asking parents, asking community leaders to support the students, as not only they do some things that are philanthropically engaging, but they're doing fundraising for the community, they're doing leadership, they're learning about being a part of the Southern University Jaguar Nation and being a part of the True Blue. And so if we could get those students to start reaching that $100 level while they're students, just think of the impact that they'll have when they come out of college and be out of the university. They'll have that love and they'll have that feeling for the foundation and want to be a part of what we're doing here. And as we could grow those individuals, that's one of the ways we could exponentially grow our campaign, by having those students being prepared as they graduate or as they're in classes now to be a part of our campaign, so they see the value of the foundation, and you know how hard the foundation is working for them. They're going to work as hard for the foundation as well. Do we have any other online questions, Courtney? Okay, then. Well, I think that kind of concludes our kickoff for 2019. I'm very excited. Thank you very much. I'm very excited to be back here. I am a Southern University graduate. Both of my parents are Southern University graduates. And I'm just very glad to be back at the university, giving my time and talent and energy to an institution that has molded me. And I look forward to working with all the captains that are here who have already been trained today, and looking forward to work with all the other captains that are still out there, because we have a lot of individuals who are part of this combination that makes this $1 Million March so successful. So that concludes our kickoff for 2019. Thank you very much, and hope you have a great evening. Thank you, ma'am. Oh, okay. Thank you. All right. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you. Okay. Thank you there, sir. Appreciate it. Hope this was worth your drive. Okay. All right. Okay. That's one of the things, as I'm starting to kind of get into it and learn a little bit more of what we've done and where we're at with things. We got a lot of potential out there, just so much. And so as we move forward, I look at 1880 and I see it. We're missing them.